Welcome. Here we are. We're in the shop tonight. A little bit of a different project than some of the others that we've worked on. This is the tow pig. I call it my locomotive because it pulls like a train. But having a little bit of an issue where the belt is squeaking a little bit, and I thought it was just a belt loose or something weird like that, but as it turns out, it looks like we have a problem with our air conditioning compressor. So let's take a look at this. At first glance, it doesn't look like anything's too much wrong with it, but you can kind of see the dirt and the dust from the clutch. So what's happening is this guy right here, which is the clutch, and the pulley are activated by a magnetic coil inside there, and when the truck needs air conditioning, it activates this clutch and pulls it against there. And what's happening is the bearing inside here has gone bad, or at least appears to have gone bad, and the clutch is activating by itself. So it's occasionally making like a rotation and a rotation, and it's just grinding away here at this surface. But you can kind of see it's been doing this for a while, and eventually, if that bearing really is bad, it will go bad and it will seize up, ruin the pump, and take out the belt and strand me somewhere. So I'm going to pull this guy off and replace it with a unit that I got from eBay. Or no, Amazon. No, eBay. Amazon. I went on the internet and I found this thing. Let's take a look. Replacement unit, which is supposed to be for this year. Kind of looks right. So this is the piece that's this one's probably okay, but this is a mating surface, and we don't want to put the old one back in there because that mating surface is probably compromised. This is the pulley, and then in here you can see that right there, that's the bearing that has likely gone bad, and it's just a little sealed bearing that's pushed in there. And as this tilts with the pressure of the belt, it will engage that clutch and cause the pump to turn. Just little bits, little bits, little bits. The noise goes away when the air conditioning compressor runs. So the electromagnet is probably okay, but since this kit came with one, as long as it's not too difficult to replace, we will probably replace that as well. So let's see what we can do. Fortunately, during this part, I left the microphone on while I had the music in the shop playing and can't play the narration from this section. So I basically took the fan shroud off. I took the bolt out of the front of the clutch and began preparing for taking the belt off. I used a screwdriver to hold the clutch in place. And that is pretty much it. I also want to take this time doing this voiceover to apologize for parts of this video where I left the camera pointed in the wrong direction. It was purely by accident, and I know my next camera is going to have some type of a viewing screen so that I can tell what it's pointing at. Hopefully this video is helpful, and hopefully you can see in this section I got the got the belt off. Okay, so now that we've got the belt off, we next thing we need to do is in the old one, we need to take this piece off of the pulley. And to do that, this is the bolt that we took out, and you can see that it fits right through that hole. But this piece is threaded with a thread right in there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's thread in there. I dug through my bolt bin and I found one that fits and threads directly into that spot through there. And it is a larger hole than this, which was the old bolt. So that will screw in, and we will press this. It will use that to push this off of the splines. Let's go ahead. Hopefully we didn't break the camera by dropping the bolt on it. There we go.
And that just threads right in there like that. I'm just going to take this guy and try to thread him in there. And it didn't take much at all. I can almost do that by hand now. And there she goes. Alright, let's pull this stuff out of the way. And there comes our piece. Oh, that sucker has seen better days. Okay, now let's take a look up here. What are we dealing with? Now, the next thing is there's going to be a little ring. Oh, that's new. Let's take a look here. This guy here is going to have a little snap ring on him. Oh, it's all covered in grease. So you can tell that pairing is definitely on its way out there. Not too bad yet, but it was ready. It was ready. So we had some play there. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we can find out what the snap ring is here and take off the rest. And here I just got a hold of that snap ring. And we'll take it right on out of there. This guy is what holds that in. Now I did damage it a little bit while I was taking it out, just getting it loose. But that should, and it does, it now is pretty good at sliding on there. It was a little bit worn around the edge. There was some burrs on the groove that holds the clip in. So once I cleaned that up a little bit, it seemed to come right to the end and then come right off. There we go. And there's the piece. So that's that. Next thing we have is the kit that I bought came with a new electromagnet, which is this piece. Oh, you probably can't see it. It's this piece right in here. So this guy has a wire that runs up along the back side of the compressor. It has a screw in the compressor that holds it right where my finger is right there. And the kit came with one. I think over time the winding will break down and this will become weaker, which will cause clutch engagement issues and can cause this to heat up and the bearings to fail. It may have actually been what caused my pump to fail. Maybe. There's a lot of miles on this guy. But I really don't want to take this out of the truck tonight. I want to put it back together. I want to put this back on and let it go on down the road. And I don't want to take this out. So if I ever get in a situation where I have to take this pump out, I'm going to swap that electromagnet out. But for now, I'm going to leave the older existing electromagnet in, replace the pulley and the clutch and this bearing that's in here, and then put it back together and run it. And if I have issues with the air conditioning working, or if it seems like it's weak, I'll check to see if that clutch is slipping. And if the clutch is slipping, we'll take the compressor out, swap the electromagnet, and then put it all back together again. Because of the fact that the wire runs up through here, goes out the back, it's a lot more work to get that out, and I don't want to damage it and then get stuck here tonight. So I'm gonna just leave it for now, and if I ever have a problem with it, I'll take the whole compressor right out and deal with it then. So, all right, so this is the electromagnet that I was talking about. This would mount in there like that, and then this guy somehow screws to it and has a connector here that we would use. But like I had mentioned, I'm going to set that aside and save it for another day. This is a side-by-side comparison of the two pieces.
So you can see one of them is a little bit different than the other. This guy is pretty well worn down. We can see that clutch was either slipping for a long time or manufactured differently. But given that it has these little rings here where the rivets come through, and that also has that, I'm gonna say that was probably very similar in construction, and this one just has 215,000 miles on it. This bearing is probably the cause of our problem. As you can see, the grease coming out of there, and there is play. You can't really tell, but there is play. I can feel it in my finger, and that was what was causing it to kind of skip drive when it was in there. So we're going to clean the mating surface on this clutch so that it doesn't have any contaminants. Put it back together, put the ring on, put the washers back in, take it for a test drive. Any bit of brake cleaner on there. If it'll come out. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Wipe it off. There we go.
This is probably going to take like a dozen attempts. Or not. Make sure it's seated. Alright, so there we go. Hopefully, I gotta look at the camera footage, make sure I put the clip in there right, but that is good for that, and then we'll put the clutch on. The pulley in place, it's time to go get the clutch.
Now this guy comes with these little washers. Now what these washers do is they'll set preliminary spacing for the clearance or tolerance of the clutch when it's disengaged. Previously, there was one spacer in here. I'm going to start out with that, and if it seems like it's not disengaging, I'll pop it back off and I will put another spacer in there. Or should I start out with two and let the magnet draw it in? No, I want to, as long as it disengages, that's all that matters, because the magnet, as long as the magnet engages it, I don't want to have it too far from the magnet, because then the magnet wouldn't be able to engage it under high stress or heat. Okay, that's right.
Looks like our spacer fell over sideways. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it again. Try it again. Get it. I can't lift it up. Okay, well, we're gonna have to take our gloves off then. All right. So now this is gonna be tricky. How do we get that guy to sit down in there? Well, I think maybe we'll put a little grease on it.
Now, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this guy, and that way it will stick. Hold on. Oh, I can't reach it. There we go. All right. That way it will stick in there and hopefully not fall over. Let's try that.
There we go. See? Now we're in there tight. But I can already tell there's a problem because it is engaged right away. Doesn't require the magnet. So we're going to pull that back out and we're going to put the other one in. Here we go. That answers that question. Okay, solve that problem. Start it with the bolt in the slot. That'll hold the washers up. Now we'll put it in place. Is that good? Can you see? Okay, great. Probably not. It's still a little bit spinny-dinny, but that is, I think, much better. Probably the right tolerance, probably why they sent 2. Now, let's put a little bit of Loctite on that guy. No, we're going to use the one that came with the truck. I'm going to put my other one back in. Why? Because this one looks cheaper. Alright, so now I got a bunch of Loctite on there. Yep, that's right. Okay. Now we'll put that guy up there. Well, I'm going to get this to where I can't hold it anymore, and then I want to employ my screwdriver again. It really is kind of nice to talk to myself in the shop. So that is pulley able to spin without clutch engagement, and then the clutch doesn't interfere. So hopefully what will happen now is when, you can see that has movement to it, when the electromagnet engages, it'll pull that guy in, it'll kind of, this rubber here will flex, it'll go in and it'll engage, it'll work, and then when you disengage, it'll come off. So put the belt back on, fire it up, go for a spin. All right, let's put the belt on. Oh man noises, oh man noises. It just came off the alternator. Fork a nail. I think I've ever done this myself before. I've had someone help me put the belts back on because it's so hard to do by yourself because you can't reach. And then you miss. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Let's see what we missed. Oh, it's off the water pump.
Hi, Dad. Want some more of this?
If at all possible, have someone help you put the belt back on. I had my son show up at the right time to hold the bar so that I could get the belt back on. But here we go. Belt's back on, shroud's back in place. Cleaning up the tools. Yeah, making old man noises. Let's try it out.
Double check up here, shroud's back on, everything's tight. Let's turn this on, turn on air conditioning, max AC, cold. There's my big helper. Well, there you have it. We have it all sorted out now. Got the old one out, the new one in. On to fight another day. Thanks for stopping by the shop. If you felt this video was helpful, like, subscribe. If you felt this video was annoying and boring, comment below. Give me a tip on what I can do to make it more interesting. And if you have an idea for a video that you want to see me make, post it in the comments. Let's see what you can come up with. Thanks for stopping by.